Guys, we are talking business here. This is so
So
awesome.
I ended up.
This
I
is
ended
my
up,
son's friend,
Actually, it was right here on
business
24th,
person.
right
My
around
son's a
here in
business
Vicksburg.
person in real
On the
estate,
other end of the other
business
end
and
of 20
family.
Yeah.
You know, you got Church Street, and you have the little tiny streets called Vicksburg.
Yeah.
So it's on that corner.
Okay. Okay.
And it was just around the corner. It wasn't even on 24th Street. It was just around the corner.
Gotcha.
But the foot traffic was on 24th Street.
Aha.
And I said, man, that's what I need to do.
Yeah. Right.
But the rent was cheap because it was around the corner. So I said, okay, $550 for rent. I moved back in with my folks. Then I'll be okay.
Yeah. Right.
You know? So
Right.
that's what I did. I ended up moving back in. My dad bought a big old house near on Slope. My mom still lives there.
Okay.
Bought it cheap, back in those days. And so he had the garage, and he had like a family room, and I converted the family room to my bedroom.
Okay.
Because that way I could still use the bathroom,
Yeah.
and if I wanted something to eat, I could go up to the kitchen.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I ended up doing that, and I bought chairs, hydraulic chairs. They were so expensive in those days. They're cheaper now than they were back in those days. And then I got some mirrors. I made a deal with a glass company. I traded haircuts for a year for him to install the mirrors.
Wow.
That's how little money. I had no money to do this.
Wow.
And then I hired my brother-in-law. Actually, he wasn't my brother-in-law in those days. He was dating my sister. So I'm like, okay, this is the right guy. I said, I need to hire you. I can only pay you with beer. So I'd go buy 2 6-packs of beer or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Maybe a 6. I don't even remember. And I ended up opening this hair salon. It was 5 stations.
Okay.
And then my front desk was these wine cases that I got from my dad's store.
Okay.
With a white sheet over it. And I stuck my phone on there. Then I had an appointment pad. And stuck that on there.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I made $300. It was 4 weeks in. 4 weeks in, I went to all the stores.
Okay.
And introduced myself. Hey, I just opened a hair salon. Here's my card.
Okay.
I would love to do. I'm really, really very good. I'm used to work downtown. I'm in the top 10% of my class. You're selling yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And then I think it was the first time I made $300. I get home that day, and I'm pretty tired.
Yeah.
And it's 9 o'clock at night. Even though we closed at 7, I think I hung out there for an hour just looking around. What can I do tomorrow? That sort of thing. Because I'm like a little kid,
Right.
And I had my waiting chairs.
Yeah.
Were those little lawn chairs that you get.
Oh, really?
They
Yeah,
were like
plastic.
$4.99 or whatever they were in those days, or $3.99.
Yeah.
And I had bought 4 of those. And I ended up having I think I had that on one side, and on the other side I had a futon.
Yeah.
Like one of those futons, because they were real fashionable in those days. All the hippies like that shit.
So we're like what, mid 70s, late 70s?
Yeah, mid 70s.
Mid 70s. Okay, gotcha.
And then I hired a person to come work with me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't afford to pay her, right? So I'm like, okay, I can pay you for 4 hours a day. But I need you to work 6 hours. And she was a young, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Young, beautiful woman. I never, when it comes to that, I never cross the line. But she said, okay, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this with you.
Yeah.
I like you. I like where you're going.
Right.
And then I started making more money. As I made more money, I paid her, obviously. And I said, I want you to work 8 hours. I'm going to pay you 8 hours.
Right.
And then I started to, go from there. And then, you're talking to a guy who has dyslexia. And I am very
You have dyslexia?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, here's a guy I can't write too good. It's not my strong point.
A lot of successful people that have dyslexia, that didn't stop them.
Yeah.
It still went on, yeah.
But I had to write a manual, right? Because I wanted my employees, because I knew I was going to grow and I wanted to have employees. And I couldn't just hire someone without a manual. So I spent about a month writing a manual. It's like 35 pages.
Okay.
Yeah, and normally it would take a guy that doesn't have dyslexia about 3 hours to do.
Yeah,
I knew what I wanted to say, I just couldn't write it, you know. And it was little by little, I had to look up words and go to different stuff. And it was the hardest thing I did. You know, I felt like a field, you know.
Determination.
But I got lucky. I wrote it, and then I met a group that was out of San Mateo,
Okay.
and it was a big company, and they specialize in helping small businesses.
Oh.
That's their whole thing. That's
Okay.
their company to help. Like if you're a baker,
Yeah.
they'll help you run your baker shop.
Gotcha.
If you're a shoemaker or a shoe repairer, they'll help you run the shoe repair company.
Are they still around?
Huh?
Are they
No,
still
they're not.
around? Okay.
They're not around.
Yeah.
So you help small guys scale or something
It's a
like
very
that?
on a small scale, and it was very reasonable. I mean, even back then, it was 100. I think I want to say it's $125 a week, and you can go to as many seminars as you want for that price. And then, even if you wanted to hire them to help you write the manual, it was $45 an hour.
Oh, wow.
So you know, and I'm not gonna pay $45 an hour because I'm like, screw that, I don't have that kind of cash.
Right.
So I had to figure it out myself, and that's kind of what I ended up doing.
Gotcha.
And then I remember the first year I hired a guy, so it was me, this young lady, who was probably 21 years old at that time. She would have been homeless. I mean, she was on the verge, she was about to make a huge mistake.
Oh, really?
And I saved her ass. I think that's why she kind of,
The 4 hours for 6 girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because she was working at like a Wendy's or something in Market Street. And she's a young, beautiful young girl. And you could see when she gets off of work, all these guys are ready to.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, honestly, it was really
Right.
sad. You know, it was really scary. And she had to eat, right? So she had to take a job, and that was the only job she can get.
Gotcha.
I said, no, I'm going to show you how to make money.
Yeah.
And that was my first project when I was only 20. I was 20 at the time, and I think she was 20 or 21.
Wow.
That was the first project. And I
Wow.
took her and I said, I'm going to make you a hairdresser. So you like doing hair? She goes, I love doing hair. I said, okay. Because right, I didn't hire her as a hairdresser. I hired her to answer the phone, help me shampoo.
Okay.
So I registered her with the state of California. Because I'm pretty resourceful, right?
Yeah.
So I figured out, well, if they have an apprentice program for people that are exactly like that young lady's situation, where you put them under an apprentice program, you train them yourself, they work under your wing, and then for that, then they go apply for the test, and then once they get the test, if they pass the test, then they become a licensed hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
And her ultimate goal was not to be a hairdresser, but she said, I'll do this, because ultimately I want to be a therapist.
Interesting.
Do this. And so I took her under my wing for 2 years. And during that time, that's when I wrote my manual. That's when I took those courses with that company. I think I worked with them for about 6 or 8 months. They were astonished how quick I learned. They were like, how do you do it?
So what happened to that woman? Where?
She ended up becoming a therapist.
Get out of here.
She put herself through school. She was at the end of the time she was working for me, she was making $2,000 a week. Or well, she was bringing in $2,000. I think she was making $1,200.
Okay.
But that was a lot of money for her.
Right.
And then from that, she put herself through college, and she put herself through graduate school.
Wow.
And then she became a licensed therapist. And now she lives in San Diego, and every once in a while, she'll call me.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, and then
That's awesome.
one time she surprised me. I happened to be, what was I? I think I was here. I was here, and she drove right up to me and almost hit me with her car. And then she said, Isa. I said, oh my God, her name is Frida. I said, Frida, how the heck are you?
Wow.
She goes, I'm in San Francisco. I'm going to be here for today, but I have to see you. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And then she was telling me about her life and all that.
Yeah.
And it was good. That was the last time I was the last time I saw her. Yeah, I think that's the last time I saw her. But she calls me every once in a while. Don't forget, this was a long time ago. This was
From Wendy's to therapist.
Yeah.
Question.
Amazing.
Let me ask you this question. So, that was the first person that you kind of helped, kind of took that person on as a project.
I like to change people's lives.
How many people, and I know you can't give me a number, but this is what you did with me. You kind of took me and showed me, the things that you showed me. How many people from the 70s to today, do you do that?
Well,
This
I know
life
hairdressers
you
about
touch
200 or
Okay.
so. 200 or so.
Couple
Wow.
hairdressers,
Yeah, a couple hundred hairdressers.
investors.
Wow.
There was a couple of young real estate people that wanted to do what I did. That's a good question. I don't know.
He kind of reminds me of remind me of my granddaddy.
Real?
Yeah, because granddaddy he owned a barbecue cafe, and he would take people who weren't doing well in life, and he would give them jobs and help them better their lives. Amazing.
Well, that's true. In my salon, I had 28 employees. I mean, we built it up so well because I ended up moving from Vicksburg to 24th Street, and then I ended up expanding from that to the second story. So we had the first level and the second level. And during its heyday, it was making about $140,000 a month.
Wow. That's
And
pretty
that
good
was,
back
in the
then.
hairdressing world, that's the top
Right.
1% of the United States.
Yeah, back then
it's
it's pretty good back then.
Like one out of 100 can get over 100 grand, let alone 140 grand. And then I had people surrounding me. They wanted me to franchise, and I said no. And then the reason I said that is because my dad told me. He was like, look, you don't need to do all that other stuff. You're just going to put more stress on your heart. And it was very stressful managing 28 people. I mean, it was like babysitting 28 hairdressers.
Right.
But when I knew I had a good staff is when they showed up a half hour early and they just lingered after their shift was over
Yeah.
Wow.
for like 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
That's a good
Yeah.
sign of it.
Yeah.
What a good
But I
team.
did it like a franchise, but it wasn't a franchise. I had my weekly meetings. I have my charts. How many conditioners they did, who did the most, and I give them little prizes. And then every Saturday I buy a big old pizza. So I don't
Wow.
have to worry about the lunch because I want to work through lunch, And because pizza was $20,
Yeah.
Not even $20, less than.
Yeah. How long did this business? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's what I think we were going to ask. How long did it take you from that first project, that first building, $5,000 to get to the top 1% of hairdressers in the United States?
Okay, I'll tell you how long it took. I was growing at 20% a year, year after year.
Okay.
It took
I remember you
2
driving.
years.
Okay.
The first year I made $58,000.
I mean, unless you want sister answer to drive.
So the first year I made $58,000,
Wow.
and I spent it just as quick. Believe me, I had, basically I was putting, I ended up buying a new front desk, and I bought real chairs.
Putting money back into your business, right?
And then the second year I made, I think 128 grand or something like that.
Okay.
And then it was, I think the third year when I hit 200 grand, about 80 grand of it was profit. That's when I felt like, okay, I have a business now. At that point I had like 5 or 6 employees.
Gotcha.
And we just did hair. We didn't do anything else. We didn't
No
do
products.
massages,
Yeah,
no
no.
product. We had a little bit of products, but not,
Okay.
what happened was there was across the street from my hair salon, there was a